7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting order. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please read the minutes from the last meeting, previous meeting.
Regular meeting of the town board, Monday, April 8th, 2013. Regular town board meeting was called to order by Supervisor Knorr. Present were Councilman Tracy, Councilman Barrows, Councilwoman Beckwith, Councilman Harvey, absent Superintendent House. The board led the pledge of allegiance. The clerk read minutes from the March 11th, 2013 meeting. Motion to accept as read was made by Councilman Barrows and seconded by Councilman Tracy. All in favor, motion carried. Supervisor's financial report was read. A motion to accept as read was made by Councilman Barrows, seconded by Councilman Harvey. All in favor, motion carried. Highway warrants read. Vouchers 35 through 42, totaling $5,760.68. General warrants read. Vouchers 47 through 63, totaling $6,603.11. And prepaid warrants, vouchers 30 through 38, totaling $3,208.39. A motion to pay all warrants as read was made by Councilman Harvey and seconded by Councilman Barrows. All in favor, motion carried. Highway reports. Supervisor Knorr read a report from the highway superintendent. Old business, Attorney Slache handed the board copies of a draft of a local law to effect a moratorium and prohibition within the town of McDonough on natural gas and petroleum exploration and extraction activities, underground storage of natural gas, and disposal of natural gas or petroleum extraction, exploration, and production waste. He then answered questions from the board about the document. Supervisor Knorr made a motion to enact a 6-month moratorium and a general election ballot referendum questionnaire. Mr. Slache stated there is no existing referendum for what is wanted in New York State. Supervisor Knorr withdrew his motion. Councilman Harvey stated that he had been contacted by phone with a threat of a lawsuit if the town goes to a moratorium. Mr. Slache stated he would defend any suits if brought against the town. Councilman Barrows made a motion for the town clerk to cause the local law to be sent to the Chenango County Planning Department. Seconded by Councilman Harvey. Roll call, Councilman Tracy, no. Councilman Barrows, yes. Councilwoman Beckwith, no. Councilman Harvey, yes. Supervisor Knorr, yes. 3 in favor, 2 opposed, 0 absent, motion carried. Councilman Harvey made a motion to hold off on scheduling a public hearing until the board has had a chance to read the moratorium and we've heard back from the county planning department. Seconded by Councilman Barrows. Roll call, 5 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 absent, motion carried. Mr. Slache respectfully requested that Supervisor Knorr have a talk with Roger Monaco regarding threats of lawsuits. New business, Supervisor Knorr stated the town purchased a new dump truck for $18,500. Councilman Tracy made a motion to table a discussion on Delta Engineering until the next meeting. Seconded by Councilman Barrows. All in favor, motion carried. Supervisor Knorr stated on May 21st the budget vote for Oxford School takes place, at which time the school bus garage will also be voted on. Councilman Tracy made a motion to advertise for fuel bids to be opened at the next board meeting. Seconded by Councilman Barrows. All in favor, motion carried. Supervisor Knorr stated the town can take the Brewer property off the tax roll and use it for sand storage. After considerable discussion, it was decided not to make a motion to take it over. Supervisor Knorr discussed the mowing of the town parks. Reese Contracting will mow for the same price as last year. Councilman Tracy made a motion to have Reese Contracting do the parks mowing. Seconded by Councilman Harvey. All in favor, motion carried. Motion to adjourn by Councilman Harvey, seconded by Councilman Barrows. All in favor, motion carried. Respectfully submitted, Donna Preston, Town Clerk.
Is there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as read.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, I'll now read the financial report. general, the beginning balance is $155,033.84. Total revenue is $2,064.55. Total disbursements, $11,132, leaving ending balance of $145,966.39. In highway, the beginning balance is $411,514.52. Total revenue, $975. Total disbursements, $13,827.20, leaving ending balance of $397,697.07. Capital reserve machinery, beginning balance, $179,893.24. Total revenue, $4.44. Zero disbursements, leaving ending balance of $179,897.68. Capital reserve unemployed, beginning balance, $14,913.56. Total revenues, 21 cents. Total disbursements, $3,895.06. Ending balance, $11,018.71. Highway building maintenance, beginning balance, $19,747.94. Total revenue, 32 cents. Zero disbursements, leaving ending balance of $19,748.26. Capital reserve Emory Harlan, beginning balance, $7,740.68. Total revenue, 68 cents. Zero disbursements, leaving ending balance of $7,741.36, and that's based on a $100,000 CD. Capital reserve Town Hall, beginning balance $12,552.08. Total revenue, 21 cents. Zero disbursement, leaving ending balance of $12,552.29. Any questions?
Make a motion to accept the financial report.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Now, would the clerk please read the bills more?
Highway warrants, beginning 5/13/13, beginning claim number 43. Beck Equipment, $3,612.50. Broom Bituminous, is that what I say? Bituminous, $5,965.39. Birch Truck Repair, $4,328.60. Cargill, $1,558.77. Chrisman Motor Sales, $82.67. Gillies Auto Truck, $257.63. John's Garage, $1,802.69. K&L Gear, $872.86. K5 Truck Parts, $103.81 and $58.70. McKee Equipment, $120.44. Reese Marshall, $1,605.62. Tri-County Communications, $99.75 and $269.80. Total highway warrant, $20,739.23. General warrant, beginning claim number 64. Art Canor, $50.86. Terry Converse, $9.61. Chenango County Sheriff's Office, $20. Chenango County Town Clerks Association, $15. Shenango Welding, $96. Donna Preston, $195.49. Evening Sun, $40.32 and $32.39. Reese Marshall, $1,400.20. Reese Contracting, $210. Roger Monaco, $40. Roxana Harvey, $49.49. Tom Haas, $10. Total general warrant, $2,169.36. Prepaid warrants, beginning claim number 39, Donna Preston, $100. Frontier, $48.05, $121.30, $111.44. New York State Teamsters Council, $194.22 and $2,054.98. New York State Unemployment Insurance, $3,895.06. NYSEG, $18.33, $46.44, and $386.73. Total prepaid warrant, $6,976.55.
Anybody have any questions on the bills or warrant?
Make a motion to pay the bills warrant.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Tom, what are you up first?
All right, we started back in the second week in April or so, doing all the potholes, grading them up, just the pothole areas, with the roller, got all them packed down pretty good. We started sweeping. We've got some other projects just waiting on a few issues that we have to deal with. First, we got the big pipe up on Strong Road we're gonna replace, but we've got Brad Hotailings coming back over to find out how deep we have to make the creek out of the culvert pipe, because the water's still right up to the culvert pipe. The pool is, we only thought it was about 7 feet deep, and it was like just about 10 feet deep, so the water's still there. But what happened, it comes over through that pipe and it washed a big hole out, so we gotta dig a creek out of it to drain that, to put the big pipe in. So Brad's willing to come over and do that with his excavator and stuff for us for nothing. Other than that, we started patching some holes with the new patch we got from Bituminous. Seems like it's holding up very well. Our big projects this year are gonna be Tice Road and down on Creek Road. Tice Road, I've gotta talk to all the individuals that live on that road, because it's gonna be tore up for quite some time. We're gonna scat fire the whole road up and work it back in the road, and then put a penetrating oil on it to sink down into the dirt to hold it. So it's gonna be a mess for a while. Gonna do ditching, culverts through that road, and that's really about it this time. Got several phone calls about dust already, which I understand it's been dry, it's dusty. Right now, we're not gonna do anything to the roads until we get them all graded. We gotta go around the whole town and grade everything up, and then we're gonna put some stuff on them. And I went back through some of the records last year, in 2011, the third week of April, the roads were really muddy. We gotta do something with the mud on the roads, so this year, it's the reverse, so. One thing I do have is, I've been, as I told the board quite a while ago, is I've been looking for a little 1-ton dump truck. It gets pretty silly, we're driving around patching the roads. With the loader, we put some of the winter mix or cold patch in the bucket of the loader, drive the loader around. Somebody follows them with the roller, so we have the roller to pack it in, and then somebody's gotta follow them with a pickup truck with all the tools in it, because there's no place else you can really haul the tools and the men working signs. I found a truck down to Smith Ford in Cooperstown. It's a 2008 with 30,000 miles on it. It's a 1-ton Ford extended cab, diesel. Really nice shape. I'm still talking with them on price a little bit. They're asking $40,000 for it. Last time I checked with them, they would, for the 2008, what I call the little pickup, not the one with the plow on it, they'd give us between $10,000 and $12,000 for that on a trade, so that would make the 1-ton about $28,000, right around there somewhere. $27,000, $28,000.
What motor is that got?
It's got the 6.4 diesel. It's got the good diesel, not the one that they've had problems with. So, because the other day I brought from my house 2 half plastic 55-gallon drums. I put them in the back of the pickup, we shovel cold patch in that, and then drive around with that, and you're making trips back and forth to the barn, cause you're running out, and it's just like,
So what truck you talking about trading in, the one you drive all the time?
the little one, yeah, I call it the little one. Keep the one with the plow on it, cause you're not,
What year is that from?
which one?
The
The little one?
yeah.
06, isn't it?
08.
Wait.
That's
That's
it,
08.
that's an 08. Yep, that's an 08. So, you know, that's what I'm looking at right now, but, like I said, we haven't come to terms with it yet, with any type of price or anything. But I've gotta do something. I mean, running around the whole town with the loader all the time with a bucket full of cold patch and coming back and forth. And the thing's on pretty close to needing tires, and the tires for that are $1,400 a piece, so the more you run it up and down the roads, the more we're gonna wear the tires out fast, and we're gonna have an $8,000 bill for tires here before long, probably. So,
So I understand, on the same page as you are. You say the little pickup, that's the one we bought first, the one that highway superintendent normally would drive.
correct.
Okay. So if you trade that in, you get this diesel pickup you're talking about, you say it has a dump box on it?
Yes.
So that would be the truck you'd be driving all the time, or just,
No, I would, cause I don't take the pickup home or anything like that. When I go around with the crew, I'm usually driving the truck with the road working signs in it. If we're not using, if we don't need the 1-ton dump, I'd use the other pickup, the 2006.
okay.
And with the signs and stuff in it.
So pretty much it would stay parked at the barn?
Unless
you
we were
needed
using it for patching or, you know, hauling crusher runs somewhere, you know, for smaller jobs.
The one you were thinking of buying is a 208?
208, yes,
How many miles are on that?
30,000.
And that truck wouldn't get used probably at all in the winter.
Not unless, well, not unless something happened to
Let me
the.
adjust that.
No,
Yeah. It wouldn't be able to salt anything like our old 1-tons were. That's what killed the last 2 1-tons we had was, they were out all winter long, it just killed.
Well, and not only that, you know, when you have a 1-ton and you treat it like a 5-ton truck, it just doesn't work.
Was this a 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel?
Yeah, 4-wheel drive. Yeah, it just doesn't work. You know, you can't.
I don't know if I ever see a 2-wheel drive, but that way you know you're not gonna put a plow on it.
Yeah, right.
And they're asking 42?
40, yeah, I got them down to 40,000, and then they hemmed and hawed a little bit about dropping it to 40,000 if I got something to trade in, but, he told me to speak to the owner and see what kind of discounts and I could work with him. And just, you know, see, I mean,
What'd you say a new one was, Tom?
a new straight truck without anything on it,
Just a cabin chassis?
just a cabin chassis, 1-ton, is right around 51,000.
Doesn't that have to go out for bid now? It's not one municipality selling to another like the other.
You
truck.
would have.
Right, it would have to go out to bid, it'd go out to bid just like that 2008 truck did for Benedict's there when it was bought. I mean,
You just have to draw specs and put it out to bid.
right. The roller's working absolutely fabulous. You can probably tell by some of the roads that have been rolled, some of them hardened up like concrete, so. Other than that, that's it.
I took a ride on the weekend, through a number of our dirt roads, and then I was in Smithville, and I have to tell you, I would take the McDonough roads over the Smithville roads that I was on.
We try.
Well, while you're with the highway report, it's good time for Don to read that card you got here.
Okay.
It's a thank you card. It says, Tom, we would like to thank you and your crew for the wonderful job you did with the roads this winter and always, and to show our appreciation for the long hours and hard work that you all do. Thank you, the Gassert family, Town Line Road.
Very good.
Thank you.
Shows I got somebody happy, huh?
You mentioned the roller is meeting all your expectations.
Yep.
And
Yes, it is.
at this point too, the grader is performing, no problems that we
No
anticipate?
problems, nope. That was fixed last winter, the seal and everything, and everything's running good.
That, 4,000 something, that was sort of computer for that truck.
Yes, back in July of 2011 on Doug's truck, the ECM, which is an engine computer module, which is the computer, went on that truck. It was replaced with a new ECM in July of 2011. It had a year full guarantee on it. Well, it went bad again in February, March of this year, so we were out of warranty there. However, I went back through the records and the truck only had 200 hours on it. So right now I'm in the middle of fighting with Cummins to get some what they call policy help to defray the cost of the computer. They all agree with me that 200 hours isn't a lot of hours, and I have to send them a bunch of different paperwork. I've been on the phone with Cummins out in the Midwest today again, arguing with them about how can you tell me something with 200 hours for $4,000 goes bad, you know, that fast. So we're working on that, so I'm trying to get money back, and I think I probably will get something.
And how'd the warranty work out with that, what the hell was the name of that guy, the diesel there? You remember the one that you took?
Oh,
Dixon
Dixon Diesel, he's still got the truck over there.
Oh, he still got it.
Yes, but everything that he had to work on, he told myself, and he also told Terry, that everything he has to work on is covered under warranty. I said, as long as you keep it under warranty, we're good. So, and it's not back yet. It's been over there quite some time, but.
Okay. Okay. Now, did we get any bids in for the fuel?
Just one. It's from Reese Marshall. We will furnish and deliver number 2 fuel oil for $3.315 per gallon fixed, and $3.435 per gallon ceiling. Price will fluctuate with Buckeye, Marcy, Utica rack price, i.e. rack price today, $5,913 is $3.0228 plus 0.21 equals $3.2328. Price could go down, but will never exceed $3.435. Diesel fuel fixed, $3.250 summer, $3.380 winter blend, November 15th through March 15th. Ceiling, $3.455 summer, price to fluctuate with Buckeye, Marcy, Utica rack, price today $5,913 is $3.0455 plus 0.21 equals $3.2555. Price not to exceed $3.455 through November 15th, 2013. Ceiling, $3.605 winter blend, November 15th through March 15th. Price to fluctuate with Buckeye, Marcy, Utica rack. Price for winter blend plus 0.21, not to exceed $3.605. Gasoline, we cannot fix price on gasoline. Price will fluctuate with Marcy rack plus 0.18, 18 cents. That's it.
Donna, could you read the winter blend on diesel fuel again? The ceiling.
Ceiling, $3.605.
Okay, that's 8 cents cheaper than it was last year.
Marshall, the fuel bids for this year.
I'll second it.
More discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Now, I know Rita's not here tonight, but, this Delta project there, we're just gonna table that this meeting, so do you wanna discuss it, or you wanna wait again?
It look like Leon should be back next month.
I think so. What would you like to do?
Get my crystal ball out.
Get the
Find out what we're gonna do here. Well, we could table it till Leon gets back, but then somebody might be missing that meeting, so.
Well,
Well, as I understand that, they take care of the whole thing, correct?
yeah, but the only thing I don't, well, if we're gonna discuss it,
Well, there's no reason we can't discuss it, that's for sure.
no, we don't see a copy of their law, I mean, we don't even know what that law involves, and, as you often said, which you're 100% right, I have to agree with you 100%, that, you put all the laws you want, enforce them is the next. Well, since we don't have a code enforcement officer, and I don't think the county would, tackle that even for $40 an hour, I don't think they would do. They only get involved with more like code violations and stuff like that.
You know, that's, if we put some type of law in ourselves, we gotta.
Well, we have one now.
Well, we need somebody to enforce it.
Yeah.
So who enforces it?
Tom already went to sheriff department, state police. They told me no.
Yeah, and I mean, Steve sent me some stuff on the Caroline law, and I was reading it about a month ago, or 2-3 weeks ago, and I was reading down through it. I read the thing pretty good, and I think it was the second or third page, they talk about enforcement, and they talk about a code enforcement officer enforcing the road law, the town road law.
In other words, local enforcement.
Right. And, you know, that's gotta be definitely something, if, no matter what we put in, you gotta look at somebody to enforce it. I mean, I've got a couple applications right now for, bonding. Some loggers, there's quite a few logging jobs going on, and they're gonna be bonding, but they didn't get the bids yet, so I don't know what the, you know, what the bid price is.
How's that law there on the bond, is that certain percentage of the job?
Yeah, it's up to $5,000.
Up to five.
Up to 5,000, so,
So what would a big log, you're a logger, so what would these big logging jobs curtail, maybe 25, 35,000, something like that?
Well, you take a state job, a big hardwood job, it could be $100,000 bid. It depends on, you know, how big it is.
right.
50, 100,000.
So that law would have to be changed for a percentage of the bid, right?
Well, yeah, or, like I said, it's
Up to 5,000.
up to 5,000. So,
5,000 won't do, cover a hell of a lot, if things up the road.
no. No. And if they don't, if they, you know, leave it, and then I can go say, well, you know, take pictures before and take pictures after and say, this is what kind of mess. And then you're gonna be going back and forth if they have attorneys or, fighting to get their bond back, and really, I'm the highway superintendent, not the enforcement officer, so.
Oh, you mean you don't stand in front of Peterbilt, so?
No.
Well, Delta Engineering, it looked like that was pretty much, I don't think that was gonna do a lot for logging by the looks of it.
No, it was,
Oh, cause they have a number of axles, whatever, I mean,
Yes, which looks like, even at Caroline, that's all pretty much number of axles and,
yeah, I mean, you take a logging job, if you got, 2 or 3 or 4 trucks in there in a day, that's quite a bit. Where I've been working, it's like, you know, once every 2 weeks. But the other thing too, with this Delta thing, what was the price on it? It was like 10 grand, wasn't it?
well, we did the traffic count, be 9.
Okay, 9, and where was that gonna come out of?
somebody's money.
Somebody's money.
How much
So-
we got in dust oil?
None?
I thought we put 20 in that this year.
No, you bought that magic water.
No, there's stone and oil recovery, there's money in.
You better get yourself-
Well, the only thing is, if you have to hire a code enforcement officer, what's that gonna cost us a year?
Well, you only got budget of what, 3,500, something like that, 3,000, 3,500.
Well, the whole thing too, where, I mean, all these, road laws and this and that, I mean, right now, today, we're talking logging, but, looking down the road, realistically, we're talking gas industry, is that not true? And if you're gonna have a code enforcement for that, it seems like you gotta have somebody, you know, probably with a uniform and a real car that, looks like it's an official town code enforcement guy, not just somebody with a beat-up pickup truck.
Okay, well, now we're talking
Yeah,
$80,000,
it's,
and I don't know how much more you wanna raise the taxes, but because that's all gonna be right up to snuff, you just can't decide what you wanna do, you gotta have the right car, the right radio hookup, the right insurance.
What's the other towns do for code enforcement officer? I know they gotta go to school,
Yep.
quite a bit of school, but what's the other towns do? Do they go off the county, or do they have code enforcement officers?
Well, most of the
Around
code,
us.
code guys just do, like rubbish, stuff like that, junkyard, they don't get into the highway laws too.
Well, most of them are doing code enforcement stuff, not,
Yeah, the code.
Right.
they're not, I guess code enforcement officer really isn't a good term
No, it isn't.
for a law, because it's a law, we need a law enforcement officer.
You take like Norwich and those, and the Green and all, they have their own, code enforcement departments.
They have their own police departments too.
They have their own police department, yes. To enforce that, you have to have a police department, or,
so when you say Green and, well,
Green
Norwich,
and
Norwich
Norwich,
City,
yes.
but Green, Village,
Berlin.
or are you talking on the township too?
Village of Oxford, what do they have?
At the village
They have their
county?
own,
I don't know if
they
they do
do
code.
and they don't.
They don't have the code part, do they?
Well, you have to get a permit from their enforcement officer, but the county
Overseas.
oversees it. Town of New Berlin, they have their own code enforcement officer, and they do all their own code, all their own building and fire codes.
Norwich does too.
Yes,
Town
Norwich
of
does
Norwich.
do, Chuck's on it.
Town of
Chuck
Green does also.
Yep.
So if you want, I can find out from those boys what they involve.
You know, I guess if you're gonna go to that extreme, then really we should take over all our own code enforcement. We might better do all our own building and fire codes, and
Well, if you're gonna go that far and you're gonna put out that kind of money, you better, you gotta do something about it somewhere.
well, the only, I don't know if he'll ever be able to pay for himself.
No, really, no. It's hard enough for the county to break
Yeah,
even.
the county has quite a time doing it.
Yes, they do.
And I know New Berlin, I don't think they ever do their tax, but it's pretty much paid for. Norwich
going full bore, we'll have money coming out our ears, right? Then it'll be no problem. To get law enforcement, and cars and radios and the whole bit, right?
Bigger town hall.
Bigger town hall, yeah.
I don't know what, if you wanna go down that road, I mean, if you wanna table it, well, I'll talk to these other
Yeah,
supervisors.
let's table that till Leon gets back. We probably need somebody older and wiser than we are to.
He ain't old as I am.
Oh, okay.
He's young.
Well, I didn't mean it that way. We need-
Might be wise.
See, yeah, we're the board, we're just the young people here, just trying to figure out how to go.
You making that a motion?
No. Oh, to table it till Leon gets back. I'll make a motion that we table this subject till Leon gets back.
I'll second it.
I'd like to see if you talk to those, Tom, see what, get a copy of that law, because it's like mine taking a vote, you know what have you.
I'll talk to Dow Engineering.
Yeah, they're law, and take it to our lawyer and see what he thinks of it. Cause any law that we always put on the books, you always had to have it legal anyway, you just can't go on your own.
They never did present us with an actual law that like they
No, they
did.
didn't.
I think.
You have a motion.
Do we need a second, right?
We got it.
Already got it.
Got a second, all right, all in favor of tabling it?
I,
Aye.
Mark, could I say something about the permit thing? If a town has a road preservation law,
Which we do,
okay, well, I mean, say if you had a bigger one for the gas industry, you'd let the DEC know, and then that becomes part of the application for permit to drill a well, and then they have to get with you, and before it's permitted, they have to come and sign it with the town. That's how that works in the S-guys.
but we still have to have somebody that's gonna
Right.
enforce it.
Right.
Right, that's what they do now with the logging. The DEC's got it in their bids that you have to obtain a bond from the town of McDonough prior to logging. See the highway superintendent, that's what they've done and got the applications from.
okay, well, I guess that takes care of that for now, okay.
I just make one comment, so the bottom line is, whether it's, logging and bids, or it's gas industry, whatever, the DEC is gonna tell them they need to come to McDonough, but they're not gonna do anything to enforce our road preservation. It's
Correct.
just- They're just gonna tell them, go see the people in McDonough.
Because it's our road preservation law, not theirs.
All right, would you wanna, tell us about the Emerson Grant Awards?
Did they award them? Oh,
Used to get them.
I didn't get one. All right.
This is the Evelyn Emerson Charitable Trust that the Town of McDonough receives every year.
It's the one big you hear about all the time.
The $1 million is only $700,000.
That's right, it dwindled a little bit.
The town is awarded the use of the interest earned for the year. So this year's interest earned was $31,600. And then people apply for the trust, nonprofits mainly. So this year's award went to Green Central Elementary School, $1,500. Hospice, $1,000. McDonough Ecumenical Food Pantry, $2,000. McDonough Fire Department, $7,320. McDonough Improvement Committee, $1,000. McDonough Improvement Committee, $850. McDonough United Methodist Church, $2,850. Town of McDonough, $4,220. Town of McDonough, $6,860, and Town of McDonough Historian, $3,000. Total again, $31,600.
I can explain some of them if you wanna know what they are, like the Town of McDonough Historian, that's the Union Cemetery upkeep, and how to get the money for the cemetery. You had to go through the historian to get it, that's the way it's set up. And the $6,860, that's for East McDonough construction of a pavilion at the town park there. And decided to put that in there because that's gonna be a good thing, you got the Finger Lakes Trail there. And will not only be used by the people of town, but the hikers can use it. And let's see what else I can tell you here. Of course, the ramp up here to the church, that's used by the food pantry and also the senior citizens for the dinner. They all use that ramp, so that was a good thing to do there. And the library committee, of course, they needed $850, and the $1,000 was to help heat the library. Now, the Town of McDonough here, it says bulletin board, but it's a lot more to that than a bulletin board. Gonna have a bulletin board out here where you can have it shielded and locked. Plus, we're gonna repaint the inside of the building here. Gonna put new drapes over there, and it has to have a new stairway going downstairs because that's getting very hazardous. And,
New signs.
huh?
The new
And
signs.
new signs outside, it's gonna have a new sign put up top, and it's gonna have the court justice sign put up, and the grain sign's gonna be done over because it's getting pretty shabby out there. Okay, if they don't keep up with stuff, it's not gonna keep up with itself. McDonough Fire Department, they want $8,700, but it's kind of a weird deal when we go down there. Leon goes, Donna goes, and I go, and I wanna say one thing, Donna does a great job, she keeps on top of everything. And when they start to give us a hard time, she got the answer for them down there. And she deserves a lot of credit. And they was really sticking with a lawyer down there, he's from Green, that tells you. So he wanted to get something from Green, he originally wanted 5,020, but Donna beat him down to 1,500 there. And that's one reason why we wanted to get, for the fire department, they want a generator over there. So that if you have an emergency here, there's one building in the town that's supposed to have everything ready to go, and that they need to have it ready to go, and they needed $8,700, and we was gonna get them, what was it, the 8,000, right? And we only could end up getting 7,320 because we couldn't beat them down the other 1,500.
That's funny because when they first came and told us that, they said the money would be spent in the town of McDonough first until it was all gone, then it would go outside
Damn
the
right.
town.
And boy,
It didn't take them long to get some out of town pretty quick, did it?
We have to
No.
fight pretty hard for leaving.
Yep.
And you can ask Donna, we have a hell of a fight down there. Like here, we got here, a Colorscape, Chenango. Well, they say, well, some of your people might come down. I don't give a damn, go somewhere else. Common Sense Thrift Shop, 1,500. Well, that's too bad, we need it here. And then this here Cornell Cooperative Extension, they want robotics program up there, $5,068. And we said no. So, I mean, next year, if we're alive and kicking, when we go down there again, you're gonna have to get out the big hammer and the big stick, because we gotta do a little bit better. Can't let them get away with anything, because like you say, and Donna's got a copy of the will, I got a copy of the will, and we gotta read that over pretty damn close, because like you say, you're right.
It was supposed to be spent here
Here
first,
first,
and
and if anything's left
anything's
over.
left over, it will go out of town.
Yeah. And they advertise in the papers, that bank does, for anybody to apply for that, so that it's our money flying out the door.
The leverage they use for Green School is that some of McDonough students go there, attend there. So we started tossing
No.
percentages around, and it's pretty low.
Oxford didn't ask for any though.
They have in the past, but not this year.
Not this year.
And they received in the past.
So, that's the story on that. Now, I got on this thing, communications, because they sent me a couple of letters, I get all kind of calls, all kind of threats, which I'm used to. And, I think that since they sent me in this town, that you people should hear them.
Let me read this.
There's the first one.
It's dated April 11th to Supervisor Town of McDonough. I attended the town board meeting of April 8th and feel compelled to express my opinion of the actions of that evening. First of all, I'm doing this in a letter because of the very undemocratic gag order placed upon the attendants that night. No public comment. Now that is a page out of King Cuomo's playbook. That is just wrong. Regardless of which side of the issue, pro or anti-gas development, your sympathies lie, there are some very disturbing procedural process issues I want to comment on. The The only input you listened to was that of Mr. Slate, clearly a biased anti-gas lawyer. You then accepted his proposal and decided to act on it. Why? You let him run your meeting and control the actions of the board. You were elected to represent all the residents of the town. Where was the motion to get the same input from a pro-gas lawyer? Common sense and fair play dictate that you should hear from both sides of an issue to make an informed decision. You have done the town an enormous disservice because you are getting more pressure than you could stand from the antis. During the moratorium, you are expected to do something. That is the point of a moratorium, to get some time to assess the situation. Tell me where you expect to get the expertise in this community that will do a better job of assessing the health impact, environmental impact, or economic impact of fracking than the state of New York. And by the way, if the town feels it is better qualified than the state to perform this analysis, what is your progress to date? This issue has been going on for 4 years or more. The fact is, we don't have that expertise or funding available in our town. As far as road impact is concerned, you don't need a moratorium to put together some rules and policies for road use that will protect McDonough. This could be done now. Another disturbing issue, in my opinion, is that there is too much non-resident influence on this matter. Open meetings are fine to get input, but remember, when the dust settles, every non-resident, including Mr. Slate, will walk away having no personal impact and leaving this community to pick up the pieces. I believe you have to keep this in mind before you act, otherwise be content with outsiders running our town. I understand the stress the board is under, and I don't envy your position, but that is the job you campaigned for and were elected to do. I apologize for what may seem like ranting. It is just the frustration of one town resident who has lost confidence in his local government. Sincerely, Jim Garudo, Hoban Road, McDonough.
Mr. Guerrero here, if he is, I don't know, but I say thank him for that letter because he puts out a good point. There's a lot of people in here that running this thing, and the people of this town should run their own town. That's my feelings on it. Now, here's another letter here I'd like you to read too.
Dated April 7th, 2013, to the McDonough supervisor and all the board members. Dear supervisor and town board members, regarding April 8th town board meeting, I am in receipt of a packet of propaganda from the concerned citizens of McDonough, apparently backed by a group called CDOG, based in Delhi, New York. They are urging me as a McDonough property owner to express my feelings to your board about natural gas drilling and fracking. As an uneducated property owner who has thoroughly studied this controversy, I come to the exact opposite conclusions that these misleading, fear-mongering people try to push on all government agencies and property owners. Let the record show that I thoroughly support natural gas drilling and fracking when it is done with proper oversight and safeguards. I would welcome these drillers as my neighbors and even on my property, although I have not yet sold my drilling rights. These fear-mongers, who I believe are environmental terrorists, are of the same ilk as their predecessors. They drove oil drillers offshore to do risky deep-water drilling, and they drove them to Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, etc. We are now losing our soldiers by the thousands to protect our interests in these countries because we depend on foreign energy source. This is criminal when you consider that we have plenty of energy resources right here at home to make us energy independent. It is clear from CDOG literature that they are again trying to poison the minds of the government bodies and residents, and even seek witch-hunting vigilantes to do their bidding. I strongly urge all of you to support the gas industry in a carefully monitored drilling operation to free us from our foreign oil dependency. Please ignore the misleading fear-mongering cries of the radical environmentalists and cast your vote for America's energy independence, our economic prosperity, and bring our soldiers home. Thank you for your kind attention. Sorry I could not attend your meeting in person. Please feel free to contact me anytime. Respectfully, Walter Olson.
Okay, thank you very much.
Walter from, is he a resident here in the town?
Nope, it's property owner. Down to the road. Now, here's the other part. As you know, the way it was voted for a moratorium last time, we sent it to the county board, and here's the results from that. I can tell you right off the bat, they rejected it, and it's all in here, should read most of it to you, as the reasons why they've done that.
Chenango County Planning and Development Board, dated April 25th, 2013, Supervisor Canor, Town of McDonough. Subject, results of 239 review, conditions, return for local determination. 13-15, Town of McDonough Natural Gas Moratorium. Dear Supervisor Canor, the Chenango County Planning Board's 239 Review Committee has completed the review of the above referenced proposal per your request. The committee has denied the application with the following recommendations or concerns. Page 3 of Land Use Moratoria of the James A. Kuhn Local Government Technical Series and made available by the New York State Department of State includes the following statement. Where immediate health and safety problems are at issue, the general police power, not zoning, is the appropriate source of authority for a moratorium. The New York State DEC is not currently approving permit applications for high-volume, hydraulically fractured natural gas wells at this time. Therefore, we do not feel there are any immediate health and safety problems at issue. The Town of McDonough had requested from the Chenango County Department of Planning and Development in 2011 and 13 information on enacting local laws such as noise, road use, zoning, and comprehensive plan. If immediate health and safety problems are at issue, why hasn't the Town of McDonough considered or began work on these land use regulations prior to now, instead of a moratorium using police powers? Page 4 of the above-mentioned James A. Kuhn Local Government Technical Series Guide states, when the general police power is invoked under such circumstances, it must be considered an emergency measure and is circumscribed by the
Penny, how would you say that?
exigencies, EXIGENCIES, of that emergency. Excuse me, I don't know what that even says. As stated above, the New York State DEC is not currently approving permit applications, and therefore we do not consider this an emergency measure. Page 5 of the above-mentioned James A. Kuhn Local Government Technical Series Guide states, these controls, whether legislative or administrative in nature, must not single out particular types of land use, but must instead address the immediate problem itself and in a way which is fair to all landowners. The 239 Review Committee believes this moratorium is singling out a particular type of land use, the exploration of natural gas. Section 4, Part 8 of the proposed moratorium and prohibition within the Town of McDonough on natural gas and petroleum exploration and extraction activities, underground storage of natural gas, and disposal of natural gas or petroleum extraction, exploration, and production wastes, further identified in this letter as the proposed moratorium, states, from and after the date of this local law, no application for any permit, building permit, exemption, except as contemplated by Section 8 of this law, or other town-level approval shall be accepted, processed, approved conditionally, or issued for any of the following, any natural gas and or petroleum exploration activities, any natural gas and or petroleum extraction activities, any natural gas and or petroleum support activities. Permits for large quantities of water withdrawal disposal are acquired from the Susquehanna River Basin Commission. The town does not have authority over water withdrawal disposal. Section 5, Part A of the above-mentioned proposed moratorium defines the penalties should someone fail to comply with the proposed moratorium. We question whether or not the local town justice has the expertise to enforce this law. Section 6, Part C of the above-mentioned proposed moratorium states, any expansion or attempted or purported expansion of such well, whether as to its production, depth, horizons, or otherwise, shall not be grandfathered under Clause A1 of this Section 6, and instead shall in all respects be prohibited as contemplated by Section 4 hereof. New York State Department of Environmental Conservation reviews and approves all permits and changes to an existing natural gas well. The Town of McDonough does not have permitting authority. Section 8, Part B of the above-mentioned proposed moratorium defines reasonable rate of return. We have the following questions. How does the hardship applicant determine a reasonable rate of return without added expense to the landowner for certified appraisals, etc.? Will the property be considered a unique hardship if the moratorium impedes potential development of the existing well? Example, Ergo 1 well. Will all realtors be notified of the moratorium to ensure all potential buyers of property are notified and aware of the law as to prevent a new owner from creating a self-created hardship? Section 8, Part C of the above-mentioned proposed moratorium states, in addition to any other application requirements from time to time established pursuant to this law, an application for any hardship exemption shall contain a typewritten narrative explaining what the application is for and how the project meets or exceeds all of the criteria for a hardship exemption. Directly following the above stated paragraph, Section 8, Part C includes a list of items that must be included in the submission. What expertise will the town board members have to evaluate this narrative and justify the dollars and cents proof to substantiate a hardship claim? Section 8, Part C, Subpart 2 of the above-mentioned proposed moratorium states, with respect to a claim that, if granted, the requested hardship exemption will not adversely alter the essential character of the neighborhood or other area in the vicinity of the applicant's property, the applicant must demonstrate that the proposed project will not adversely affect such essential character with regard to the physical, economic, social, or environmental elements of such neighborhood or area. A list of examples of adverse impacts follows the above quoted paragraph. We have the following questions regarding the adverse impacts. Who will determine the decrease in property value? Will the person determining the property value be a certified appraiser? Will a neighbor who is claiming a decrease in property value be required to show proof through an appraisal? How do residents prove health issues with no baseline information? Is the town board willing to take on this responsibility? A certified appraiser should be required to make this distinction. It is not the expertise or function of the town board to appraise the property of a resident. Section 9 of the above-mentioned proposed moratorium defines the review procedures of a hardship exemption application. We have the following questions. Has the Town of McDonough prepared submission forms for review or approval of hardship exemption in order to provide consistency in the applications? Is the town board qualified to determine a hardship exemption? What is considered a minimal level of exemption for public health, safety, and welfare? Section 12 of the above-mentioned proposed moratorium states, the code enforcement officer is hereby designated as the enforcement officer for purposes of enforcing this local law. The town board reserves the right, by resolution, to change or designate additional enforcement officers. Based on the Chenango County Directory of County, Town, and Village Officials, Town of McDonough does not have its own code enforcement officer and utilize Chenango County Public Health Division of Code Enforcement. If you designate the Division of Code Enforcement as the code enforcement officer for this law, there must be a moratorium of understanding between Chenango County Public Health Division of Code Enforcement and the Town of McDonough stating such.
It'd be memorandum instead of moratorium.
That's a memorandum.
Huh?
Memorandum. I said moratorium to me, guys. Addendum Section 1 of the above mentioned proposed moratorium states, this law is a police power and land use regulation. We do not feel this moratorium was adopted due to a dire necessity. As stated in a previous comment, the New York State DEC is not currently approving permit applications for high-volume, hydraulically fractured natural gas wells at this time. Addendum Section 2, Part B of the above-mentioned proposed moratorium states, maintaining the quality of water resources within the town is critical to protecting the natural environment of the town, the general health and welfare of town residents, and the local economy. If there is genuine concern for protecting the water resources within the town of McDonough, we recommend adopting a residential wastewater law. Furthermore, we feel the adoption of this moratorium is untimely. The court cases of Norse Energy Corporation USA versus Town of Dryden and Cooperstown Coal Steam Corporation versus Town of Middlefield have recently been heard by the New York State Supreme Court Appellate Division, 3rd Judicial Department. A decision is expected soon, giving further clarity as to the authority of municipalities relating to the exploration of natural gas and New York State Environmental Conservation Law, ECL, Article 23. Please send Chenango County Planning and Development a copy of your board's decision.
Thank you.
Good job, Donna.
I don't know.
I wonder that again. Okay, so that's what they did. Now, I'm gonna say here before we go to public comment time or anything, I'm gonna say this. This board and myself was elected for us to represent all the people. Those who want the gas drilling, those who don't. So, the only fair way, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, the only fair way I feel that this thing should be straightened out and done once and for all is, since I tried it 3 times, and it's against the law, what I wanna do is the anti-people, get your committee together and do a survey, and then bring it back to the board. Well, it has to go to the town clerk, and then see just what the pulse of the town is. Are they all against it or all for it? Or is it split half and half? That's the only fair way to do it. And that moratorium, it would be, not a moratorium, excuse me, it would be a survey, and you have to go down the county, get a tax map, because every taxpayer in the town has got a right to vote on this. They're paying taxes, they're paying our salary and upkeeps of the roads and everything else. And the ones who, the names on the deed, if there's 2 people or 3 people, whatever it is, they can vote. Other than that, no. And it should be sent to them out. Should the McDonough residents allow gas fracturing? It should be on there, yes, no, or undecided. Let them just circle one. And then send it back, and it's gotta be sent to the town clerk. And then when they get them all in, open them up and count them, see who's who. That's the only fair way to do it. Everybody's got a voice who's paying, and the one who pays has got the right to give them voice. That's the way I look at it. Now, I don't know who's of the committee here, or you have a committee, but you always seem to be the lead point man here. So, what are you gonna do? You gonna give us a survey or not?
I think we could do that, and we already have the tax map with all the property owners, and so we can do what we want.
And they'll have to go and send them back to the town clerk.
And what kind of a time frame are we allowing for that?
Whatever they want, because we're not gonna do one other thing till we get it in.
2 months? 3 months?
Well, Donna, how long does it take you to do all the
Well, I don't know,
taxes?
I thought we were starting this about 3 months ago. Are we in the public comments or?
Not yet.
Oh.
I just told how I feel about it. I don't know how you, if you want to voice an opinion, how you feel about it. But I think that's the only fair way. We're elected here by everybody in the town who votes. And not only that, everybody who pays. I mean, some people, like, I have a daughter, she has 108 acres here. She pays a hell of a tax, got a big barn and a new house on it, she pays a big tax. And she should have a say too.
So with what you're saying and proposing here, the survey is done, it comes back, and we'll just say 75% of the people are against gas development in this town. Is
But you
that
don't
the
know
answer?
that yet. You don't
No,
know.
but
I
he's giving.
just, a hypothetical, if it comes back and it's a ratio like that, that they're against it, is that the answer that we then reply to this, at last the police send Chenango County
Oh, no, I
planning?
gotta give them a notice Wednesday morning.
Well, what are you gonna tell them?
Whatever you're gonna decide tonight to do.
Whatever we're gonna decide to do,
Now, if you want another option on it, and you don't wanna do the survey, there's another option on it.
so that's what you're saying, that if we decide, or, yes, there's gonna be a survey done, that's our answer, we're gonna do a survey. Is that what you're telling us? That you're gonna tell the planning board tomorrow
If
that
you
the board
decide-
decided?
If the head one of their committee decides to do it, tell him he's going to do it, yes, I will tell him that.
Okay, so you just gotta make it clear what we're, agreeing to do, not agreeing to do, you know, what do you wanna do? So, okay, so the survey is one of those options.
Now, that's right. Now, another option is this, if you want it. I could put this in the form of a motion, which I'm not doing right now, I'm just giving it to you this way. Whereas New York State has been working for nearly 4 years to create a comprehensive plan for development of its natural gas resources, whereas Governor Cuomo has said that a community desires should be considered in the permitting process. Now, for be it resolved that the McDonough Town Board would support the natural gas development and implemented and administrated by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, which would safeguard all aspects of the local government, recognize and establish rights of property owners, and hold the natural gas industry to the same standards as other industries in New York State. Now, that's another option. If the board takes that option, that's up to the board. Now, if they wanna go ahead and do the survey, there's two options that they can do. Now, that's one or the other. Because we've been going around and around and around, and, we've heard it all just about.
Well, I would go back to my.
Let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
We've heard it all, and, I think it's time that we don't need to go all these long hours and all this extra stuff. Another thing like that, one man gorilla writes in there, and he's right. There's a lot of people coming in for other towns, which in plain English have no damn business running like that.
My turn now?
Go ahead.
Okay. We go back, we go with the survey is done, it comes back, and it's 75 against, 25 for. What do we do then? What are our options then? Still have a 3-2 vote, and go down to the county and have unelected officials tell us what you can and what you can't do? I mean, there's not a member on that planning board that was ever elected, was there? Were
Oh,
there?
yeah.
Sure, a bunch of them are supervisors.
Yes.
So that little SUP.
Like,
Oh, okay,
he's a
okay.
supervisor, Senate, he's a supervisor.
Okay, I see 2 so far. Okay, down below there's planning
Yeah,
board,
yeah.
review committee, okay, so there's 4.
I mean, you gotta look at it this way. We did our part. We went ahead and we voted to send this down here, and they sent it back. Now, we've done our part. Now, that's all we could do. If they wanna go ahead,
But we'll do the survey and do our part.
huh?
We'll do the survey and do our part.
You wanna do the survey, I don't know how long it'll take you. If it takes you 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, we're very patient. We got a town to run. We got plenty to do.
Let me ask you, Art, you said so they're gonna send a little note out to every
Tax.
owner, every
Property tax, yeah.
property tax owner. And then, say I get mine in the mail and I check whatever I want,
Right.
I'm gonna return that to the town clerk. And then they're gonna be counted at a meeting.
Or we'll at least know the results of how many yeas, how many nays, and how many I don't know.
Yeah, and you have to check them out, you have to check them against it's easy enough to do if you're familiar with the tax book, you just start right off there and get everything in order, and we'll all do it. You just have to, as a board, we'll just have to put in ourselves that extra time. I See what I tried? I wanted to put in when you got your tax bill and have it over with. Would have been done. Can't do that. That's a referendum. I want to nail a good old ballot box to the table here and let the voters come in. That wouldn't have been quite as good, but let the voters come in and vote on it. Can't do that. That's a referendum. And you heard Mr. Slotchy here the other night. I want to go a 6-month moratorium and then put it on the November ballot. Can't do that. That's a moratorium. So our hands are tied. We can't do nothing. So you'll have to do it.
Now, did you started this a few
I
months ago,
started it,
correct?
I started, we have a flyer, and we've designed it so that it will go to, we'd be able to label it, and then you fold it over, and it'll go to the return address, and it'll be stamped both ways, so that people will return it, hopefully.
Yeah, well, of course, some won't, but
Right.
that you can't worry about that, because some people vote and some people don't. If you don't vote, you don't have a right to bitch, that's my opinion. Now, you wanna open it to the public forum now, or,
Yeah, I'm good.
huh? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a couple of concerns about it. Firstly, if you care to look back, I think we spoke most at length about a survey when the woman came from Middlefield, Ms. Brannigan. And at that time, I think it was assumed that we would follow the lead that they had, because you all seemed to think that was a great idea. Yes, let's do that here. Of course, we've begun an informal one by door-to-door petitioning, as everybody knows. But there are some discrepancies, and I just want to troubleshoot ahead of time, because I'm thinking ahead and seeing these issues come up. The first issue is that traditionally it's a pretty small percentage of any kind of mail out that you actually get back. And I have, again, I'm thinking ahead and I hear, oh, but this is only X percentage, whichever way it goes. One side is gonna say, well, gee, we only got X number back. And that may be one other time-consuming thing. The other was, I'm not sure about that letter. The letters were well-written and so on, but I'm also aware of other letters that people told me they've written that never were in the town correspondence, so I'm a little concerned about that. And the other thing is, the 239M Review Committee, which is the subcommittee that sent that nice long letter, and I may be wrong, and this is really a question, not a comment, and I'll present it back to the rest of you and the audience. My understanding about that committee was they were looking supposedly just at 2 little factors about such a resolution. And they did give us a lot of great detail, but I thought those were, what is the countywide impact and what is the impact on the towns that border you? And maybe I'm wrong, but that was my understanding, and I did read their little blurb on the website on the county page, and that seems to be the things that they look at, but that letter kind of was, touched on a lot of other things, so I'm just a little unclear. Maybe you could shine some light on what that committee is supposed to be really doing, And I'd like to comment as well about the town's hands are not tied. I've heard that a lot, and it was referred to in the letter from the 239M Review Committee about Middlefield and Dryden. They did just win again, so it is home rule. It's what the people of the town want. So that was successful at another level of appeal in court recently.
Now, how many petitions do you have signed? There are about 300.
We have roughly, yes, approaching 300. So again, back to the survey and my concerns. One is,
Well, back to your petition first.
Okay, back.
Your petition, you got 300. There's 872 people in this town. Now, if you go, you say you have 80%. Now, 80%'s almost 700 people in this town.
Okay, let me, if I can
So you don't
interrupt.
have the 80%.
There are 800 people in this town as per survey. A survey covers everybody, even children. So back to Ms. Brannigan's.
Survey don't cover everybody's children,
A
because they gotta have a tax
census,
map, they gotta vote.
a census covers children. And we look at a census of our town recently, it says we have about 800 residents, but that includes children. So now back to Ms. Brannigan, their town survey, they started with telephone calls. They kept very careful records, the day and time they called, who they spoke to, the age of the person, and they made sure that they asked for everybody of voting age. And that was a parameter they set ahead of time. I would prefer to get all that out of the way before we do a mailing, maybe we can have someone, one of you on the board, maybe Penny would like to, because we don't know Penny very well, maybe she'd like to join in, to just go over what that survey would look like, to be sure, you know, that it would be acceptable, and that we're covering those bases before we get it back, and it's a problem later. And the problem later being, one of them, well, we only got, you know, 20% of the people sent it back, or, well, you know, and again, the issue of who lives here, who doesn't live here. You know, do you wanna ask a out-of-town landowner, does the taxpayer, him or herself, respond? Do the people on that deed respond? You know, how, those things probably ought to be worked out. So I would just, you know, invite that as maybe a little bit of a bridge between us and the board before we go ahead and get that out. And we are willing, you know, to do it, several of us, at our
Before the
time
phone
and
call,
expense.
that won't go, because you can go ahead with all the fear mongering on the phone all you want.
Okay, I'd like to interrupt that. I don't feel I'm a fear mongerer. I think I'm, you know, educating people. And if I wanted to turn that around and say something monger to the other side, I could fill that in with a different blank, but I prefer not to do that. You know, everybody is my neighbor. I'm not gonna start fighting you guys. I told you a long time ago, I'm no shining example of Christianity, but I'm gonna, you know, do what I need to do here, and you're all my neighbors. I'm not gonna get into that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't appreciate being called that. Thank you.
I have a question.
I know you're not from this town, I know that.
Yeah, I know, but I'm a very close neighbor. I was just wondering, since the letter that you got had a lot of critical analysis of Attorney Slachi's law, one would think, are you going to consult the attorney to see that they haven't made any mistakes when they wrote this thing back to you? Now, I was at that oversight committee, and I didn't see any attorneys there, so I was just wondering, as they went through that thing, maybe they made mistakes, and maybe it would be the polite and etiquette thing to do, to share that response with Attorney
Well, I'll
Slachi
tell you one thing.
and ask for his comments.
But we're not gonna continue this snowball and keep going. You're either gonna do the survey, or else, if the town board wants, they're gonna put this in to go by the DEC and have it over with. Because we got a town to run, and they're gonna keep this going month in, month out, month in and month out.
No, but I was wondering, did you ask him to look at their response and to comment on it? That would seem to be the next sensible thing to do, and you did invite him here. He submitted a law, and they've responded to it. One would think he would read it, and then if he thought they made mistakes, he'd bring that to your attention.
No, I think somebody doesn't know what they're doing.
Well, we thank you for your
Well,
comment.
I think he's making a very good point. Has Mr. Slache been made aware of this?
The point is, we're not gonna keep going with this thing. I'll tell you right now. We're not gonna keep going with it. We're either gonna get the survey, or we're gonna enact the DEC here, one or the other. We're not gonna keep this going. At all. I don't know, I know John, and I don't know how Penny feels, but I know John feels about the same way I do. We're getting, this is over and over, same thing, over and over and over. And we had a couple of years of it's enough.
The one thing with what you send out has to be very biased. It can't say one way or the other.
It doesn't. It says.
It's gotta be very simple. Do you support hydrofracking? Yes, no, or undecided. That's all it's gotta be.
We'll give this to the board, and you can approve it first, okay? Because on there, I have a checkbox that says, for drilling, against drilling, or unsure. And there's three things. That's all it says.
Elbows got something.
Yep, go ahead.
I was just thinking, one thing you'd probably have to do is you'd have to put a time limit on that little thing, right? You'd have to say yes, no, undecided, and you have to return this by a certain date, or else every time you come to the meeting, somebody's gonna say, well, some people haven't returned it yet because they haven't had time. So that way it would help you, right? You know, just so to say, you have to have this returned by 60 days, so that everybody isn't sitting around waiting. There's something you might want to put on that little thing.
That's a good point. Go ahead.
Two points. One, on the 239 committee's review, I think that they're expecting an answer on whether you voted to move forward on it, which would require a 4-to-1 major majority, whether you know, or you decided to not move forward on it. That's just my expectation. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, I'm, you know, the way I understood it. Not sure if I'm right or wrong on that. Second, when it comes to a survey, yes, that's something I've got a little experience in, and the whole evaluation of it, and it almost needs to be prepared by a professional to make sure that it's unbiased, and that the way it goes out and all that. I've had a little, you know, when you're getting the results back in, and, you know, how you're gonna get a response to it, what percentage you can expect to get back, is all increased or decreased by how it's presented, how it's set, what it says. There's a lot to it. So I just, you know, you definitely have to get some thought and some review into that creation of that, you know. It can be very simple, but just the phrasing of it, one word, will throw your survey, you know, 50% one way or the other, just by example, so. Well, yeah, you know that I'm exaggerating, but 50% of them are gonna look at it and it's gonna get filed. Whether they live here as a resident, or whether they're a landowner, you know, an absentee landowner. Odds are about 50% of them, they're gonna hit the garbage, you know, immediately. But just some concern on my part of how that's gonna read, so that, you know, and that's it.
I'd just like to say that we have a template from a survey that was used in another town. It's like, not like we're making it up.
No, but that doesn't mean that that template from that survey isn't one way or the other.
Again, this is again why I brought up maybe
Just a
having a
minute.
Yes.
designee, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly,
from you all that can, you know, meet with those of us that have been trying to gather this information about who does and who doesn't.
And I agree with you, Nance, that's what I think we're on the same page here, that you have to get it prepared properly up front, or it goes out and one side or the other is gonna say, well, that's no good.
Right,
You
and
know,
again, that
both
would
ways.
be
And then
helpful.
you guys are right back in the same boat that you are 3 months from now or 6 months from now,
And
however
you're
long it
right,
takes.
that would be helpful beforehand, before any of this goes out.
Steve, is there a return address on this card when it's being mailed?
There will be.
Because I had a very large percentage of tax bills back undeliverable for whatever reasons.
Oh.
Right.
Quite a few.
Yeah, tell us what the corrections are.
Yeah, we don't come up with them, it's up to the taxpayers to notify us if they don't receive.
Well,
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
One of the things, Steve, you said before, and I don't know if this is on your questionnaire, you said, are you for or against drilling? John brought up a point, hydrofracking. There's a lot of people that are for vertical drilling, but they don't want fracking.
Right.
So you wanna make sure that's very clear.
Well, once again, we, North Energy drilled 57 horizontal wells that weren't fracked. They were Herkimer, so once again, that's deceiving. You know, you've really gotta get it worded properly, because you can hydrofrack a vertical well. You know, it's just not high volume, because you're only going through a smaller area, so you don't hit the 80,000 gallons. So there's hydrofracking going on, that could go on today. You know, it's just not typically done because of the recovery rate.
So to your answer, Terry, if you want tonight, you can make a motion what you wanna do. You wanna proceed forward, or you wanna stop with it till we get the survey? Then I'll take that back to the county board, if you wanna do that.
Well, let's see, I voted yes, so I guess,
You wanna make a
yeah,
motion?
I'll
to
make
go
a
forward.
motion that, the committee here of concerned citizens, will undertake a survey, and that we give them at least 2 months to get it sent out and get it
Give them all
back,
the time they want. We're not pushing.
whatever, yeah. Yeah, that, I think it's important that, the board needs to, as best we can, and I understand you can mail out, 1,000 letters, forms, and, you may get 100 back, I understand that, but, that's the case. That's the case. If we get 800 back and we can see that, there's an overwhelming majority that don't want it, well then,
What
we've
do you
got
do
a
with
decision
some
to make.
majority they do want?
And then, That's right. Then we go to the next step, we take the next proposal, that we put our full faith and confidence in the DEC, if and when it ever gets to that point, that they're gonna do their best to make sure we're all safe and sound and snug in our bed.
Okay, your motion is?
That the committee representing the concerned citizens of McDonough, whatever the official title is,
Conduct a townwide survey.
Who's the chairman of
of
this committee? You are,
all,
right?
No.
There's no,
No, Chairman.
it's a group of citizens.
of all the people on the tax rolls as property owners paying taxes. You know, we're not just looking for the voters or the residents of the town, but everybody that owns property and pays their taxes.
On,
So it's Town of McDonough tax roll property owners.
And I'd just like to mention, whenever you send these letters out too, you have to make it look like it's just not another piece of junk mail that's showing up. I guess, you know, a regular envelope, typed, written, you know, something that looks personal, so hopefully they'll at least open it.
Important to your money future.
Or something, you know.
you have won. Guaranteed to throw in the garbage.
This is your chance to win the lottery.
Gift certificate enclosed.
Now, what did you want to say, John?
No, that's his motion. I'll second the motion, but now for discussion.
Yep.
I own 8 different pieces of property. I have 8 different deeds. Do I have 8 votes?
I mean, I don't,
Sure. I
How many times can you vote for president?
That's a little different.
I know, well, it's a vote.
It
It's
is,
a vote per
but-
person.
You're not, are you a
But
stockholder?
if I hold 10 proxies at our lake association meeting, I have 10 votes. Now that's my question
I mean,
is,
you're asking like
Because
if
you're
it's,
gonna encounter
if
that
you're a,
with
if you're a stockholder, it's not a stockholder issue.
we don't know.
well, I own,
Right, when you go through the tax rolls, and you'll see there's many people
That's
own
right.
1 acre, half an acre.
You're asking for their opinion, if they
Yeah, you can't have 8 opinions.
are against something or not, or are they for it, or are they undecided? You're just asking for an opinion.
you know, I just was asking the question.
So
I don't
I-
have the answer.
I own 4 properties between here and Afton, so that means I can vote 4 times too, correct?
Only in this town.
Only in this town. I'm not saying you can or can't, I'm asking can you?
But how, what are you gonna base your percentage on? Because if you have 980 tax parcels, and he owns 10 of them, what's your percentage based on? I own a bunch, he owns a bunch, Don Wall owns a bunch.
We're not doing it on the size.
You can't,
It's not a
Well,
vote
how do
per
you do your
acre or a vote per
percentage?
parcel.
To democracy.
The same, the person who
It's a
owns an
vote
acre
per
across
person.
from me has the same vote as I have, that
I
I
don't
have
have a problem
55.
with that, I'm talking about his 8 properties.
You know, it's a vote per
How
person.
do you, what do you base the percentage on? The number of parcels in this
No,
town?
the number of
Right.
taxes.
We're looking at people's
The
opinions.
number of
See, the
owners.
problem is,
You're
you've
asking
got
if
one
they-
problem here. There are registered voters, and then there's property owners. Well, it's a big difference, because you could have 20 registered voters living at my house, and every one of them can vote.
Right.
But there's only one property owner, and that's me.
But
Well, that was my.
So
excuse me.
who gets the vote?
This was my question, if I can go back to the actual motion itself. And this is what I wasn't clear about, because yes, if you have, you know, a very large house and there's 12 people living there, but one person has their name on the deed, those people are still voters. They live here, so it would be for property owner plus for, you know, taxpayer slash, you know, resident. Because you have to have residents that are here, voting here, that maybe don't, you know,
I
pay
own
property
property on
tax.
the lake, there's 15 different people that come and spend time at the lake. They should all be able to vote too, even though they don't live here.
Well, they're not, they don't vote here though, do they? They
Well,
live there full-time and
Well,
vote
the
there?
landowners that don't live here don't vote here either.
Okay, so again, these are some of the issues we really do have to iron out ahead of
You know,
time.
there could be someone that owns 500 acres here but doesn't live here and does not vote in Town of McDonough. That's why I've always said this is a problem, because you have people that are registered voters, and you have people that own property. It's two different,
That's right, it's two different.
Well,
different things.
if we.
Just like up there to that lake, there's 200 people up there in the summer. They can't vote here.
Right.
But how many property owners is there up there?
Well, there's,
30, maybe?
there's what, 50 lots, I believe, there.
Okay, so
There's 40 at Lake Steer, there's
Ludlow,
how many at Ludlow, there's,
Ludlow gets one tax bill.
Well, they're the ones that should be able to vote, the ones that
20,
have
30,
the party.
Well, yeah, Ludlow gets one tax bill, and then their members pay their share,
30.
right?
30
So-
camps. Yeah.
So they should have a right
yeah,
to vote.
that's what I'm saying, are we gonna do this with just the people that can vote here? Or are we gonna do it, do you do it with everybody? Even
Well-
though you don't.
Landowner.
We can look at maybe.
Well, and if you do it with the landowners, it's only gonna be the person that's on that deed, you can't.
Right. That's right.
And some deeds have 7 people on them.
And all of them you vote.
Well, even,
Right.
Seven votes.
But it needs to be
I'm the only
considered,
one
is
on
all
the
we're
deed, but
saying.
my wife has a vote.
Say that again?
I'm on the deed, but my wife has a vote, so she wouldn't be able to vote if it was just the landowner. They're on the deed, correct?
Yeah. See, that's the.
Oh, you can tell her.
Well, that's what I'm saying, this is where our problem is how do you do this fairly
Got
without,
three separate ways of going about it that are not, they don't coexist.
that's right.
You know, they're mutually exclusive, separate surveys.
Well, let's get 3 different surveys then, how's that, huh?
Oh, I'm,
Voters,
Yeah,
So mail
absentee
them to Terry
landowners.
Harvey's house.
Just you're being devil's advocate because you understand that it's a complex issue.
Right.
it's
And
very
looking at just a
complex.
few of us there in this room, I've got 3 properties in McDonough,
Right.
5, multiple, 8,
Yeah.
just McDonough. You know, I'm not talking about like Oxford, Greek, other parcels. That's just.
You know, I own property in Oxford.
Yeah.
Should I be able to vote in Oxford on this?
Well, that's what I was basically.
Well, if they had to vote, you could.
Yeah, and, or,
If they had it for the taxpayer, but
If
my
they did
2
it that
tenants
way.
that live there wouldn't be able to vote.
That's right.
Well, unless they would.
Okay, we've muddied the water on that
I would,
enough. Let's try to find,
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, what's our solution to this problem?
You were voted in by your
Doesn't
people.
sound like that one.
You're the representatives. Okay, a supermajority vote is required.
you don't have any stuff.
To go forward with a moratorium.
if you go with the people that are residents and vote here, seems like they're the ones that would have the most concern.
I don't know about that. Somebody got
I
158
know.
because they got a concern.
Or more, poor choice of words.
They would be impacted the most.
There you go. Right, you can have 500 acres, pay a hell of a big tax bill, and, just send me the check. I really don't care what happens up in town. So maybe we should go with the voters if they're gonna have a survey. The people who live here, who can actually, they're on the voting registration. Or we could just go to option number 2, right? That's the one we really wanna do, isn't it?
It's
Put
a
it in
choice.
the DEC's hands.
Well, we have a motion and a second.
Yeah.
Now, what's the motion? Read it.
Okay, so the motion is, read it back here, so.
John already seconded it.
Councilman Harvey made motion to have the Committee of Concerned Citizens conduct a Town of McDonough tax roll property owners survey.
So he's already clarified it's a tax roll.
That's what he said.
Right, so if you've got, if you're on a tax roll once, you're on it once. If you're on it 10 times,
Only 10 times.
That's right.
No.
No, it's not right.
10 times.
Paying 10 times.
That's not right.
With that, if you're gonna send one out to every tax parcel, then I'm gonna receive 8 of them.
I'll receive 5.
That's,
Well, that kind of, puts the bill up a little higher.
well,
well, the thing,
yeah.
I'm thinking of guys like Dean and Seitel, big landowners. They just have one vote. Somebody who's got, 10 half-acre parcels, they get 10 votes? Something doesn't seem right there.
No,
Even though
no.
the 10 half-acre parcels may be just a tiny fraction of what the, other landowners are paying in taxes.
Trust me, mine isn't, there's 80-some acres.
Well, when it comes to the election, you don't get 5 votes, for town supervisor or
That
highway
sounds different. That's
superintendent.
election.
John doesn't get 8 votes, he gets 1.
But if we're gonna do it that way, then people that own land here but do not live here, even though they may own a majority of the property, they won't be able to vote on this.
They don't have a say in it.
What I'm getting at is, if we do the tax roll, and just whatever on it gets 1, as I guess Sue mentioned, it's an opinion poll. We're not trying to pass legislation. It's not like,
But then we go
voting on
back
a
to the
budget.
problem with Tom. His wife won't be able to vote. My mother won't be able to vote.
His
My
wife will
girlfriend
tell
won't
him
be able to
how to
vote. We all, they all live here.
No, you won't.
She'll tell him how to vote.
Sure she will. He may not be back to any of our board meetings. I know her too, trust me. All kinds of people.
Well,
with their
we can
hands
take a
up hard.
vote, and if it doesn't, nobody's in agreement, then we'll can that idea.
How do you determine what percentage of voters voted when you don't get them all? What are you basing it on? I'm saying, I got 230 cards back, out of how many?
If everyone,
And obviously, they're not concerned about it.
Yeah,
if
but
everyone
this-
is a
the point
property
is-
owner,
The point is you wanna stake a claim and say 80% of the people in this community don't want this.
Well,
But where does that 80% come from?
Okay,
well, that
can I
makes
What
it
jump
4 in
numbers?
one house.
That has to be
Or 2 in one.
established.
Could I jump in?
That
I think-
has to be.
I think that the reason we're saying 80% at this point is we are using that just based on, and it's
Yeah.
not scientific, it
I
isn't.
get that, but
Right, so that's
I'm
where that came
saying,
from.
what are you using for your parameters? Because you have to have
if
parameters
each
before
property
you begin
owner
this.
gets 1 vote, and there's 1,000 property owners, then you base it on the return from the 1,000.
All right, but there's 1,000 property owners and he owns 8. I
Yeah.
own 2.
But he's only
you
one
own
property
3.
But he's only one person.
Property owner.
But it's
Where
eight property owners.
is
It's
your
not
percentage
parcels,
coming
it's
from?
property owner.
You're making up the parameters as you
You're
go.
John, right
You
now,
are
right now,
the
when we say,
parameters.
Yeah, but
right now, when we
people
say
changing the
80%,
parameters, you're going for the property owner.
You cannot say that.
But because
well,
he's one
I'm
person,
saying,
if you're
this
going
is
for
how,
the property
if
owner,
we
it
had
doesn't matter,
100
you can take
signatures,
votes.
if we went to 100 people,
So
and
that's
80
not-
said
that's not the right way to do it.
20 said
That's
they
not
were
fair.
for it, that was what we mean by 80%
But
today.
that 100
Today.
people doesn't represent this whole
Right.
community.
Now, Donna,
Because we haven't done it.
30 votes, one way or the other. And
You
then
need
somebody
to do it how to do it.
It's very difficult. That's-
there's how many property, how many tax bills do you have?
I think it was like 980,
Thank you.
940 something.
Can we all listen so we know what's going on? Thank
So
you.
there's 940 tax bills that go
That
out.
went out.
Now, out of those tax bills, I would say there's probably 20% of those that are the same person.
Oh, absolutely.
So now your 940 is down 180.
Right.
So, and that's where you're getting, where are you gonna get a
Exactly.
percentage? So,
Find the
you got
parameters.
940 tax bills, but 180 of them are the same people.
That's right.
So now your percentage goes down, 940 minus 180 is what? Come on, Penny.
Say it again, 940 minus
740.
180.
Minus 180.
Is 760.
Okay, so now you're down to 760 people. And these are just numbers.
And then you've got NYSEG, State of New York, the communications companies, the gas drilling companies own a lot of properties, et cetera, et cetera. They're not people per se.
They're corporations.
What are they? Where do they fall in?
Well, you got the gas line going through the whole town. Traffic line there, that's all.
That's all I'm saying is, you really need to be careful careful about how you say your parameters and what kind of numbers you shoot at us and say 80% of people don't want this.
Yeah, you're not sure it's 80%.
It's a great figure.
Well, the town is receiving all the responses. You're gonna come up with parameters for how you analyze
Oh,
those
no.
returns.
Oh,
We're
no,
counting
I
yes
am
or
not.
no's.
All we're gonna do is
That's
count
not
them.
true. We're gonna count and we'll say how many came in.
But
You
that-
have to determine.
That's the
what
problem I
went out.
see, is how do we
Oh my
do this
God.
fairly so you're including everybody?
Okay, can I, is
If
anybody
you don't
the person
include
that's
everybody,
calling
those
on?
ones not included, they're gonna
No,
sue.
there is no, just ignore our,
I think I'd like to withdraw my motion at this time, and we'll reconsider something at another time. I don't know, this is
Well, then you wanna make a motion that you wanna go forward, or you wanna stop here till the survey is done, what you wanna do?
go forward with the moratorium? Is that what you're saying?
Working on it, I guess, I don't know, you can't really go forward to it now, because you can't, you gotta have a full vote, you gotta have at least 4 to pass that, override the planning board, you're not gonna get that.
Not true.
Huh?
It's not
That's
true.
inaccurate.
You have to
You're
first
not even
have-
gonna get 3 anymore.
You know that.
Regardless, I'm just correcting the information.
So we're in the
You're
middle of a
pushing, Art. I'm
discussion
not sure.
on a motion, so we ought to need to
Well,
end
he
this
withdraw the
motion.
motion.
Well, is it,
He
are you
can't
withdrawing your
count,
motion?
he can't withdraw.
Well, we can't seem to come up with, all we're doing is going around and around in a merry-go-round of how we're gonna set a parameter, blah, 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 so,
Ain't nothing new, we've been doing this for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Are you withdrawing your motion?
yes.
Then I guess I have to withdraw my second,
There you go.
or is that a first now?
No, you can make the motion over again, Don.
You withdrew your second?
Sounds like we're gonna make it difficult to become the decision here anyhow.
Well, what do you wanna do, Art?
What I wanna do?
Yeah,
I know what Art
I
wants.
mean, you voted for the
No,
moratorium
I-
a month ago, what do you wanna do tonight?
I tell you, you don't know what the hell the people want. You mean, right here tonight, you got people here from other towns in here. And I don't see too many from McDonough here. There's no great big crowd from this town here.
You've seen him before.
That's
Who do we know?
That's not what I
For sure.
asked, I mean, what do you think we should do? You know,
What I
we
think
got the
we should
survey
do?
thing there that, we kinda, played around and, mud
Well,
wrestling
you
there.
can't seem to get a consensus for all the taxpayers to vote on this.
Well, we have 2 people with their hands up. You might wanna hear something they have to say.
Well, half hour's almost up, but go ahead.
I just want to point out that there was a lot of discussion about we don't want to let outsiders run the town. Maybe we should just get the voters and the residents to be the survey respondents, because then the outsiders won't be running the town. If they don't live here, then that
Well,
would
I wouldn't call them an
simplify it.
outsider, they're paying their taxes here.
Just a suggestion, the other suggestion would be that we could merge the voter registration list with those property rolls, and obviously there'd be a lot of overlap, but not too much, and we could ask both of those bodies of persons.
Go ahead,
what
Mr.
their
Burrows.
opinion is.
Mr. Burrows.
Jeff? I got a couple comments on it. You're gonna, just in my experience, you're gonna find it almost impossible to come up with a parameter that's gonna be consistent for everything. You're gonna have either the landowners, and then even with just the landowners' tax roll base, you've got issues with it there. If you go with just the resident, or just the resident voters, now you're leaving out all the landowners who are absentee owners. It's almost impossible.
Merge
I-
them both.
You could merge them both,
That's what you have to do.
you merge them both, but that still is gonna create issues either way. Not saying that it's impossible, but it has to be thought out more than we're gonna be able to do here in a meeting tonight. I feel anyways. I mean, it could be worked on and come up with, and I'm willing to work, Nance, I don't know his name or whatever, but I think even more than that, what it comes down to on the moratorium is if you're gonna move forward with it now or not, or even then, if you get one way or the other. Just for example, let me throw out that you got, and it did come back, that 75% of however it was worked out said no. But you are the people who are representatives voted is that gonna sway your minds on how now, what you know from the county and the state and everything that you've looked into? To move it into law, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you're still gonna need a 4-to-1 supermajority to move forward on that.
Not true.
Not true?
First, you have to analyze the county's response to see if it has any merit. If it has no merit, you need a three vote, and they had 30 days to send you back something with merit, and what I heard tonight is well beyond the scope of the law. They had two things they should focus on: county-wide impacts or impacts on contiguous towns. None of what he read spoke to that.
That's right.
What's
your great interest?
Hold on, but let me, it also spoke to the fact of what actually constitutes a moratorium, enacting a legal moratorium.
No, that did not. Again, they were in error, and that's why I would suggest that you would consult with the attorney that presented the moratorium, and there's a 28-page document.
As well as the town attorney.
There's a 28-page document that describes how the county should respond. They were given 3 pages of the 28. In fact, they were given the wrong 3 pages. I was there and witnessed it. So I would think that that would be the proper thing to do.
What is your interest so much in our town that you want this moratorium here? You don't even live here. Now, what the hell is your interest so much?
I like to ride through McDonough.
Huh?
Get a grip.
I got a grip.
Yeah,
Let me tell you, I got a damn
got a
good grip.
grip.
You let me finish. What is your interest?
I'm a taxpayer in Chenango County.
But you're not in this
You
town.
get Chenango County subsidies for this town, and I'm a good citizen, and I am entitled to go to any town board meeting, not only in this county, but anywhere in the United States. And I don't think I should be challenged that way. I think that's a little bit out of order.
Yeah.
And frankly, the question of whether property owners should be the ones to vote or not to vote and exclude tenants was settled in New York State in 1840. So I don't think I enjoyed hearing that tonight, that only property owners should have something to say, including property owners from out of town. Often they are foreign corporations and others. They're considered insiders. But I, who live in a neighboring town, are now pushed as an outsider. I think you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
I still feel that way.
Good town.
Okay, this meeting's adjourned. Half hour's up.
We have to make a motion to adjourn?
No, you don't need county on that.
You don't need a second.
Sir, I think it's going like my